The moment my knee hit the concrete, I knew my life had just split into two halves. Everything before the second and everything after. But not for the reason you'd think. I'd spent 3 months planning the perfect moment. The rooftop overlooked the entire city skyline, strung with warm yellow lights that flickered like they were breathing. Her favorite flowers lined the pathway. Peonies, because she said roses were too predictable. I'd coordinated with 17 different people, booked flights for relatives across 3 states, and handed a photographer more money than I'd spent on my first car. All of it leading to this exact heartbeat. Before I go deeper into that night, and trust me, you're going to want to hear what happened next, make sure you're subscribed to Anonymous Confessions. Hit that like button if you've ever planned something special that didn't go the way you expected, and drop a comment telling me your own story. I read every single one. Her 30th birthday. That's what I kept telling myself. She deserved something extraordinary. For weeks, she'd been dropping hints about turning 30, about wanting to feel celebrated, about how her friends all had these massive parties their husbands threw. I listened. I took notes in my phone. What I didn't know was that I'd been taking notes on the wrong things entirely. The day started normal. Coffee in bed, like always. She scrolled through her phone while I pretended not to watch her, memorizing the way the morning light caught her collarbone. 4 years together. 2 of them living in that cramped apartment with the dishwasher that never worked and the neighbor who practiced trumpet at midnight. We'd talked about marriage constantly. She'd sent me Pinterest boards labeled future ring ideas with hundreds of pins. Her sister had taken me ring shopping. Her dad had pulled me aside at Christmas, slapped my back and said, "So son, when are you finally making an honest woman out of her?" Everyone knew. Everyone expected it. So why, when I dropped to one knee, did her face look like I just told her the dog died? Let me walk you through that rooftop. The air smelled like the ocean even though we were hours from the coast. Some fancy scent the hotel pumped through vents. Champagne flutes clinged in the background. Her cousin played guitar in the corner, something soft and acoustic she'd loved since college. Have you ever planned something so perfectly that you started believing the perfection itself was a sign? That's where I was, standing in front of 40 people, ring box sweating in my palm, convinced this was a moment our grandchildren would hear about. She'd screamed when she first saw everyone. Genuine hands to her face, knees buckling, screaming. She hugged her mother so long I thought they'd merge into one person. She cried on her sister's shoulder, then her aunt's, then her best friend. She kept grabbing my arm and whispering, "You did this? You actually did this?" I just smiled and refilled her glass. Looking back, I should have noticed something in those hugs. The way she held on too long, like she was anchoring herself against a storm only she could feel. Dinner went perfectly. Her father gave a toast about watching her grow up, about how 30 meant nothing because she'd always be her little girl. Standard stuff, but it landed. She laughed at every joke, posed for every photo, touched my knee under the table every few minutes. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the memory I'll replay on our 50th anniversary. I tapped my glass with a fork. The room went quiet. I stood up, straightened my jacket, the navy one she'd bought me last Christmas because she said it made my eyes look dangerous, and started talking. 4 years, happiest of my life. Can't imagine my future without you. Standard proposal setup, but I meant every syllable. My voice cracked on future. Someone's mom sniffled. Then I lowered myself down. My knee found the exact spot I'd marked with tape earlier, hidden under the rug. The ring box opened smooth, no fumbling. The diamond caught those breathing yellow lights and threw them everywhere. I looked up, and the smile was gone. Not just missing, erased, replaced by something I still don't have words for. Her eyes went wide, but not in that happy, surprised way. It was a look people get when they witness an accident, that frozen, detached horror. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. The silence stretched so long I heard ice melting in someone's glass. "Are you serious right now?" The words came out quiet at first, then louder. Are you serious right now? You ruined my birthday. You turned my entire birthday into your agenda." 40 people stopped breathing. I stayed on that knee. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me thought if I just waited, she'd laugh and say she was joking, that this was some twisted bit of performance art. But her mother's face in the background told me everything. The woman looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her father started to stand up, then sat back down. Her sister covered her mouth with both hands. When someone humiliates you in front of everyone you know, why does your body refuse to move? I don't know how long I knelt there. Could have been 5 seconds, could have been 5 years. Eventually, something clicked back into place in my spine, and I stood up. I closed the ring box. Smap. That sound was louder than anything, and slid it into my pocket. Then I did the only thing that made sense. I thanked everyone for coming. I walked toward the elevator. Her father called my name. Her sister said something I couldn't hear. Her mother just stared. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, and I watched her face disappear between the closing metal. She never said stop, never ran after me. Just stood there in that beautiful dress, surrounded by flowers and family and the perfect night I'd built for her. The drive home took 20 minutes. I remember every second of it. The way the streetlights slid across my windshield in perfect intervals. The way my hands gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. The way the radio played some love song and I couldn't change the station because my fingers wouldn't work. Have you ever driven somewhere you've gone 1,000 times, but it felt like the first time because everything you believed about your life had just been rewritten? My apartment smelled like her perfume when I walked in. That was the worst part. The normalcy of it. Her robe hung on the bathroom door. Her toothbrush sat next to mine. A half-empty water glass on her nightstand. I grabbed the duffel bag from the closet and started throwing clothes inside. Didn't fold anything. Didn't check what I was grabbing. Just stuffed and zipped. My brother opened his door at 2 a.m. and didn't ask a single question. Just stepped aside, pointed to the couch, and went back to bed. I lay there staring at his ceiling, counting the glow-in-the-dark stars he'd stuck up there when we were kids and never removed. Somewhere around 4 a.m., I realized I'd stopped shaking. That scared me more than the shaking had. This is actually around the point in my story where I started realizing how much our perspectives can shift in just one night. If you're relating to this more than you expected, go ahead and like this video. It helps other people find these stories too. And if you've got your own experience with a moment that changed everything, drop it in the comments. Anonymous Confessions is all about sharing what we don't normally say out loud. 52 texts, 19 missed calls. I counted them the next morning while my brother made coffee in the kitchen. Most from her, a few from her sister, one from her mom. I opened hers last, after reading everything else. They started normal. Please call me. Where are you? We need to talk. Then they shifted. You're overreacting. This is insane. After 4 years, you're just gonna disappear? By the end, they turned into something else entirely. Accusations, blame. Somehow I'd become the villain who walked out instead of the person who'd been publicly destroyed. Her mom's text was different. Just 3 words. Please call me. I did. And what she told me over the next hour changed how I understood everything. She said there'd been signs she'd noticed but didn't know how to name. Small things. Her daughter pulling away from family gatherings, making excuses to stay home, talking about needing space and figuring out what she really wanted. Her mom had assumed it was pre-wedding jitters. Now she wondered if it was something deeper, something my ex hadn't even admitted to herself. She showed up at my office a week later. The receptionist called up, voice weird, said someone was asking for me. I knew before I got to the lobby. She stood there with a coffee cup she kept rotating in her hands, eyes red, makeup fresh but already cracking. We sat on a bench near the parking lot and she told me she'd made a mistake. I waited for more. When it didn't come, I asked what mistake she meant. She got defensive immediately, said I knew what she meant, said I was making this harder than it needed to be, said if I really loved her, I'd understand. What do you say when someone wants forgiveness without admitting what they're forgiving? I told her I didn't understand anything except that she humiliated me in front of 40 people and still hadn't actually apologized. She cried then, but it felt wrong.
controlled, like someone turning tears on and off. She said I was being unfair, that she was trying, that I wasn't giving her a chance. I asked what chance I'd had on that rooftop. She stood up, said I was impossible, and walked away. Her mom called again a few days later. This time, her voice sounded different, tired. She said the family had tried talking to her daughter multiple times, but every conversation ended with blame shifting or emotional shutdown. She mentioned therapy, like that might fix everything. I said I was glad she was getting help, but it didn't change what happened. Her mom paused, then said something I'll never forget. I raised her better than this. I don't know where I went wrong. I told her she hadn't gone wrong anywhere. Some choices belong only to the people who make them. 2 months passed. I found a new apartment, smaller, mine. The breakup cost me 2 months' rent to escape the lease, but I paid it without negotiating. Some things are worth the price of never thinking about again.
I packed everything in one afternoon, left the key on the counter, and closed that door for the last time. The ring stayed in my sock drawer. Every time I saw it, I felt this weird mix of regret and relief, like a scar you keep touching because it reminds you you're still alive. I ran into her father at a grocery store around month 4, produce section of all places. He was squeezing avocados, saw me, froze. For a second, I thought he'd walk away. Instead, he came over, shook my hand, and apologized. Said he thought I'd been good for her. Said he was sorry for how things turned out. I told him I was sorry too. We stood there in front of the organic vegetables, 2 men who'd lost something neither of us caused, and then he patted my shoulder and walked off. I never saw anyone from her family again. Around month 6, I stopped thinking about her every day. The anger faded into something quieter. Not acceptance exactly, more like indifference. I started going out again, picked up old hobbies, remembered what it felt like to come home to silence and not find it deafening. My therapist, yes, I started seeing one, helped me understand that what happened wasn't just rejection, it was public humiliation, and it was valid to feel angry about that. She also helped me see something I'd been avoiding. The signs had been there. Small things, moments where she'd pull away from conversations about the future, times when she'd get weirdly quiet when friends talked about their weddings. I'd explain them away as stress or nerves. How do we convince ourselves to ignore what we don't want to see? The last time I thought about the proposal for real was when a friend got engaged and posted photos online. I saw his fiance's face, that genuine, unguarded joy, and I felt happy for them. No bitterness, no comparison, just recognition that what I'd wanted was real, just not with the person I'd wanted it with. And that's really the point of sharing all this with you on Anonymous Confessions. Sometimes the stories we think are about heartbreak turn out to be about something else entirely, about learning what we deserve, about walking away when staying would be easier, about trusting that the right person won't make you feel crazy for wanting to love them. If this story connected with you, hit that like button and subscribe. And seriously, drop a comment. I want to know what you would have done in my situation. Would you have stayed? Would you have thought harder? Or would you have walked away too? The ring lives with my mom now. I gave it to her one weekend, told her I bought it for someone who didn't want it, so I wanted her to have it. She tried to refuse, but I insisted. Eventually, she took it and held me for a long time without saying anything. That moment, standing in my mom's kitchen, feeling her arms around me, that was when I knew I'd actually be okay. Not healed, not euphoric, just okay. And for right then, that was enough. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever propose again. I always say absolutely, just not like that. Not with a crowd, not with expectations borrowed from Pinterest boards. Just quiet and honest and real. Because I still believe in marriage. I still believe in love. I just believe now that love requires someone who can say sorry when they're wrong. Someone who won't make you the villain for wanting to commit. Someone who, when you're on one knee in front of 40 people, looks at you like you're the answer instead of the problem. The strongest thing I ever did wasn't kneeling on that rooftop. It was standing back up,
pocketing that ring and walking away with my dignity intact. It was refusing to chase someone who'd already shown me who she was. It was choosing myself when every instinct said to fight for someone who'd never fight for me. And honestly, that's where it all ended. Not with a wedding, not with a happy ending, just with a man who finally understood that walking away isn't giving up. It's standing up for the life you actually deserve.